Hello and welcome to another episode of Taff Meets, and today we've got Scroobius Pip here.
Hello.
Who's dropped by on the way back from Glasgow, yeah?
Yeah. I tried to arrange a drop by a few weeks back, didn't I? But you weren't about, so I'm glad we could fit it in. I'm mainly here to snoop around your house, which I've had great fun doing.
We've done the tour, and
yes.
we've had a look around, and you've had a meeting with Ralph finally.
Yes.
So we're sat in the stream room at the stream desk. It's a bit cramped because
we're squeezing in.
You normally only have to fit one person in. It's easy.
It's a couple of big boys.
But today we're going to go through our 5 favourite toys. As many people know, I might have recently started an Instagram, Taff's Toys. It's just there, where I show pictures of like some of my toy purchases. You can see a lot of them behind me and all around this room. So what Pip suggested was that we show some of our favourite toys that we have.
Because I'm a bit of a toy collector as well, not at your level, but I thought it'd be good because I think some of the stuff I collect isn't stuff that you collect, so we'd have some differences from the look round. I don't think I've seen any of the bits I've got here, so it's kind of nice that it's a different.
It's always the interesting part that I find when we go to the toy fairs, and I think that was what was nice about going to the one with Funkle on the last video, was like seeing like what other people get excited about.
I have that in shops. I'll be in a shop, and the thing that I'm most excited about is being completely ignored. It's on the shelf there and no one cares about it. I'm like, but
because Funkle picked up some Bucky O'Hare stuff, and I was never a Bucky O'Hare person.
I've recently, where I've been going and meeting our mutual friend B Dolan on a lot of these tours, I've been popping into a few. There's a lot of anime toy shops popping up, and I'm not really into any of that. But there's a series called Vinland Saga, which I absolutely adored. I've never seen any toys of, so I'm going into all these shops, having a look around, and thinking they must think I'm just a weirdo off the street, and I'm looking for something so specific, but I've not had the courage to say, is there such thing as a Vinland Saga? Because a lot of that stuff as well I can't find online, because it's mainly sold in Japan and it's not English language, so even searching for it's hard. And you
get really interesting stuff in a lot of those shops, because like sometimes I'll go in them and they have toys of the same things that I've bought, but like they're the Japanese versions, and they're like completely different to like the toy that I've seen. So I know there's a couple of companies that are doing some really cool Spider-Man toys at the moment, and like you see them, but they're like, because they're so expensive because of the imports and stuff. But like I know I've got a little Street Fighter collection, and there's a company doing Street Fighter figures that I think I saw at Comic-Con, and there was a Honda that was like a hulking figure, and I was like, that's so cool, but I know if I open that door I have to keep going, so I managed to stop myself.
But again, also I've heard you talk about when you're in London always going to Forbidden Planet. That was my thing for so long as well, until I had to start going in so regularly. It's now every like 5 or 6 visits I'll pop in, have a look around.
It's weird because it's got to the point where like a visit to Forbidden Planet isn't so exciting for me anymore, because it's like I see a lot of this stuff, and it's like the toy fairs have become such a big thing, and it was so nice to get Funkle, because I think like getting more people to see these kind of things, because they're not just a chance to like buy toys for me, they're a chance to like see part of my childhood. And I think that's why with some of the toys that I've got today, some of them are like representatives of my childhood. And
I'm the same. I've got a mixture of new things, and again I think it's the difference in our toy collecting style. I'm lucky that I like buying just odd one things, whereas I know you'll be like, if I buy that I now have to get the collection, and it's so it's easier for me in a way to go, I like that Akuma Street Fighter toy, I'm gonna get that and that's it, whereas I know you'll be like, right, now I need Ken, now I need Ryu.
It's really like I was at Comic-Con and they had Evil Ryu from Street Fighter, and I know that's a special edition, and I was like, if I buy this, I know there's a special edition of Chun-Li, which I've seen is really expensive. So I'm like, as soon as that door opens, I've managed to keep myself to only buying the standard figures at the moment. So Rach was like, "Oh, just buy it," and I was like, "No, because this is a gateway for me.
It's so tough.
This is the weed to me that's going to take me to the heroin." So
I love it.
do you want to go first?
Shall I go first? Well, I'm going for not one from my... Or it's kind of related to my childhood.
We haven't shown each other what we've got here as well.
So this was a really limited run of Nightmare Dungeoneer toys. So it's numbered on the back. It's number 4. I don't know of how many, but it's the little Dungeoneer. Weirdly, the cover is... Like, I keep a lot of them in, but the cover has come off. So it needs resealing anyway, but it means we can take him out and have a look.
That's so wicked. There's actually... You get a lot of companies now that are making, like... kind of custom toys. So I think at the last toy fair I saw there was like people making weird wrestling crossovers.
Well, that's what I love. A lot of the stuff I get. So this is Spitball Toys, and there's a few different people like Spitball. There's a guy called Delicious. Again, Peter. There's a guy called Riker. There's loads of good guys who make these unusual things. And I saw that one as just... Because Nightmare was just the show as a kid.
I love that it says ages 30 plus at the
top. Yeah. It's accurate. And again, like one of the toys I'll be showing later, the guy who makes it always puts, "This is not a toy" on the toys. Because it's like the art toy, collector type things.
They also do that a lot of the cons because they have to charge more. If they class as, I think it's a weird thing for the stands that they have to. So I think a lot of them they'll put are on there for, I think possibly tax reasons.
Yeah,
I could be completely incorrect there. That's really cool. I bought a Nightmare T-shirt the other day, but I can't think of Nightmare now without thinking of our mutual pal Barmer, who ran Nightmare in
Rust. Yeah, of course. So, but it's a hell of a one. As soon as I saw it, and that's the thing I see it because I follow a lot of these toy pages. I see a lot of stuff, and I have to go, do I need that or not? And this was one that I was like, I think I need a little Dungeoneer.
That's really that's tickled me. Well, I'm gonna start. For once I've got something big between my legs, and this is not actually my pick, but I brought it because I can't show my pick without showing this. So this is.
Look at this.
This is Greta. This is the Gremlin from Gremlins 2, who I often say was like my first realization of women. Really was. I always remember. We'll probably put it in here now, but the scene at the end where there's the guy trapped in the toilets, and she walks in and she's blowing him kisses, and he kind of shrugs as if to say, "I'm gonna fuck a gremlin today." Mm-hmm. So this is not my pick, but I wanted to show it.
It's worth sending this video to your therapist just as a reference.
Because my pick, is actually a toy version of her. I've got 3 separate ones, but this is my favourite, and this is her in a little red dress. It's a very difficult one to make stand up because she's wearing very high heels.
That's so good.
But I've got 3 versions. I've got her in the wedding dress that she's in at the end of the film. I've got her in a standard look, but this in the red dress is kind of my favourite of the 3.
Yeah, that's so good.
But she's like...
It is weird. I remember that because it was weird when it came out, because Jessica Rabbit, it's meant to be sexy or whomever else was. This was very much clearly a gremlin, yet to teenage me it was also still quite sexy. It's just boobs. It was boobs that did it. It's the simplicity of boobs.
It's the little mole as well that she's got, this almost Marilyn Monroe-esque that is just so good. And I think Gremlins 2 was one of the first films that I remember going to see in the cinema, because it's got the weird part in the middle of it where it goes like fourth wall breaking, and the film suddenly cuts out, and then they show that there's gremlins in the projection booth behind you. And then suddenly this revealed that Hulk Hogan is in the audience of the film, and they send Hulk Hogan in to sort the gremlins. Yeah, and I was like, that was like what I really loved about a stupid, like, 80s, 90s films is like they sent Hulk Hogan in to beat up some gremlins so that the film could keep going. And I don't remember how they did it in the video version, if they just did it the same. But yeah, so stupid. and yeah,
and that was probably the first bit of fourth wall breaking I ever saw as a kid. It's funny because like when Fleabag happened and Deadpool, everyone was like, yeah. It was like for me it was Gremlins and Clarissa Explains It All.
Yeah,
they were the two that would talk directly to the audience, that would break things up and go into the.
I think Gremlins 2 is always one of those ones that I always say like I prefer the sequel to the original. I can't remember much about the original, but the second one, you know, Gizmo putting the red band around his head like Rambo and firing the marshmallow that's on fire at the gremlins is just so weird as an aspect different to the first film. That and I always prefer Ghostbusters 2 to Ghostbusters 1 as well, which people don't agree with.
Good sequels.
Yeah.
Shall I go on to my next one now?
Yeah.
Right. This one again. So my two problems, I guess, are weird, rare things, or my two ways of collecting, or grabbing things that I had in my youth and I don't have anymore. Let me see where I'll put this. There we go. And this is one of them. It's not rare. It's not worth loads. But I was such a big fan of Madballs.
Yes!
And this one in particular, I remember so clearly from my youth of having him. And he was like a biker and he had tattoos. And he's this weird guy, and he was weirdly hard to find on eBay because everyone loses their heads because the heads shoot off and are these mad bouncy balls. But yeah,
this was one of the things I showed Funkel at the show was Madballs because they've had a little bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, they've done like big ones and things like that, haven't they? But I wanted to find the exact one that I had as a kid, and this guy was like my brother had the zombie one. No, the mummy. Like there was a mummy.
Yeah.
My brother had that, and I had this little guy.
I had the purple. It was like a purple with one eye,
a red, and a green bit.
Corn.
Yeah.
It was like I love these, and like they're another thing that I'm really like. I'm always on the edge of starting a collection because I know I've seen people do the checklist of all the figures that you've got to get, and it goes mad.
Yeah, but yeah, I love them. But again, it's another one where when I found him to bring him today, his head wasn't on, and I was like, right, I have to hunt around my streaming room now.
I think
to find where his head is. Anything that's detachable. I bought again, it was an art toy thing. It was an adaptation of a tugboat toy. So. Tugboat the wrestler. It was an adaptation to turn him into what was the guy with the sparkly helmet? I've just forgotten his name.
Shockmaster.
So I bought the Shockmaster toy. So he had the jacket on, he had the sparkly helmet, and I had him posed in his falling stance. And then at some point I've lost the helmets. So now it's just a weird tugboat toy. It's like, I don't want that. But
well, I funnily enough have a drawer. I'm gonna
do it.
This is my drawer of bits, and I've actually got to the point where I've started putting little stickers on them that say which figure they're from, so that I don't lose the bits. And these are just
that's amazing.
a 10 of them that I've just Prowler's hands from the Spider-Man figures. But yeah, I was losing stuff all the time. So yeah,
you just got to have that thing. But yeah, this was.
They did so many different sizes and stuff for them as well, and loads of different. That's really cool. That's a blast.
Just that little guy, just that little face. That didn't mean anything. It wasn't attached to any cartoons or anything. It was just a guy that I remember so clearly from my youth. His scars.
It reminds me of, in a way, of I get really excited whenever I see the Muscle Men.
Yeah.
I
bought Adam a Muscle Man one. For his birthday, because I was meant to be seeing him for his birthday, and I was going to get a cupcake and put this Muscle Man I'd bought off eBay for it. It was the wrestler one that's doing that, and he has his mohawk. And then the pandemic hit, so I didn't see Ad in person for 2 years. So I think I gave it to him a few months back. For his streamiversary one year.
I have so many of those that stick in my mind that so you often get the little bowls.
They're another one that they've just started doing big versions of. I've seen.
Yeah, and at a lot of the shows there's multicolored versions and stuff because I always remember them now weird pink.
That pink, yeah, that's how I had all of mine.
Yeah, and I had really like there was one I remember that was just like 2 towers with a bit in the middle and a face on it, and it was like they were so weird, like the amount of different like figures you had in there.
Did it mean anything? Because it was M.U.S.C.L.E, wasn't it?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know there's someone, and I completely forget the name, but I know there's someone who's at the toy shows has released a like book that has got the full list of every M.U.S.C.L.E man, and I meant to buy it at the last toy shows. Even just to flick through that book, I think will unlock so many memories of like in the garden, like. And even with these, the Madballs, like, I think if you were to, an archaeologist was to dig around at the bottom of my old garden in like 20 years, they'll find like a Madball's head, a body, and loads of these muscle figures have embedded. But
let's get on to your next one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with one from my childhood then. And I know we talked a little bit about some of the old wrestling figures.
Yes.
And I'm going to pull out ones now that I've actually got dupes of. And when these arrived, I got really excited.
Yeah.
Because Jack was really little and Jack started playing with them. And seeing Jack play with these Bushwhackers figures of
so good
of Luke and Butch.
And just I remember so clearly that
it's the stomp for this one.
They do the arms.
Because I think one of my like earliest memories is walking around a school disco doing the Bushwhackers walk, and feeling like I was so cool.
I would have done exactly the same around the school playground. My youth was very much, wrestling figures were the main thing. I didn't bring any today because of being so aware of your collection. It's like, but I was so into them, and I don't remember ever giving. My mum claims that we said, sell them. I thought they were in the loft, and I went round there one day in my adult years to get my wrestling toys, and they were not there. But all of them, and it was only the WWE ones or WWF ones that were the moving. Like the WCW ones were just static, weren't they? Didn't do anything, and that was revolutionary at the time, right? You didn't really have you'd have some toys that all do the same thing. Like when they bought, I remember having the Mr. Miyagi toy that chopped.
Yes.
And you could get it came with the ice, I think, and the Daniel-san one came with the wood, and they all did a chop.
I think I've got Daniel over there.
and they all did the chop, but as you say, each of these doing a different thing. The fact that you wind him up and he does a stomp.
He's stomping and hitting, so you can do 2 moves there. So it was so fun, and you had ones that were like.
Is that breaking kayfabe? Like the fact that you stomp as you punch. Is this the first kayfabe breaking toy?
Possibly,
He's giving away that you stomp as you punch to make it sound more impactful.
Well, it was like weird because it always used to be funny when they'd come out and you'd be like, that doesn't really fit that wrestler. Like why is Ultimate Warrior's one way jumps off the top rope? Because he doesn't do that.
Nah.
But you would get wrestlers that would do like random moves that you were like, that's not connected to them.
Or like I think Bret Hart, I think, just got them in a bulldog and did that because you can't do the Bret toy as a sharpshooter. How would you make a toy do a sharpshooter or something? So he was just arm would do that. You put their head in there and his arm would do that. It's like, what's that got to do with Bret Hart?
I just remember like having these like intense matches with the ring and like being able to picture everything so clearly because you just had these little figures. And the Bushwhackers to me are really like 2 guys who I think like really like they're so different like as characters to if you look earlier in their careers. They were like the deathmatch guys back in the day and were like really feared, and by the time they got to the WWE they became these like Bushwhackers who would lick their heads and
and do the dance.
Two of my favourite figures. I actually have their modern figures as well. I have the versions of them dressed as Doink, but I also have some figures that they came with the caps, and I always like that the cap that it comes with has got a bite taken out of it at the front, because that was what the Bushwhackers were, and I know even our mutual friend Matt, I got our little group of video of Luke from the Bushwhackers doing a little cameo for us.
Brilliant.
And everyone got so excited when they saw him because
standard.
that was like our youth. So I
thought
I had to have a Hasbro in here, and the Bushwhackers have always been my dues, and when these turned up and I realised they were duplicates, I got him out and I gave him to Jack and he was playing with them and I was like, that's my boy.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I mean, speaking of youth, then all of the rest of mine are He-Man or He-Man adjacent. So my youth was very much He-Man and wrestling toys, which was good because they were roughly the same size, so you could make them kind of fight. But so my next one is again a modern one, and you're a new rap fan, as we can see from the B. Dolan records in the background. They're slightly out of focus, but
yeah.
There's a rapper called MF Doom that's like a cult-like figure, has the mask, and this guy called Delicious Again Peter did a Ram Man MF Doom, and they're ultra rare.
So cool.
But it's such a good figure. So it's Ram Man from He-Man, but with the MF Doom mask, with a microphone.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So that one's ultra special to me because Ram Man was always the one that the toy was good. Again, he did a jump, so again it was that era of the movement, but it never captured the character from the field or from the TV show. And then this was like, yeah,
I think Ram Man's always like those He-Man Ranger figures are always like ones that really like as soon as you see them they bring back such memories. Yeah. Like the Ram Man is the one that always gets me, and then
green legs, like a red top thing, and the silver shoulders, and just that jumping motion that the exactly the same as the Ultimate Warrior toy had.
And you'd see really weird ones like there's the bee that I always see, and I'm like, I never remember that from the show, but I remember the toy of it so much whenever. But yeah, this is so cool.
It's good, right? And again, that's just it's a rarity, and I don't know how many were made, but I know I grabbed. It was another one that came up. I was like, right, I need to get that before they're sold out because it's such good quality. It's got like a weight to it.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's those He-Man figures, because Jack, we were at the Comic Con and Jack bought some Turtles crossover with He-Man.
Yeah.
And my favourite thing was the Michelangelo comes with like a wig, so he actually looks like He-Man, which is
amazing.
My favourite little thing. So I had one more wrestling figure to show in this, but I wanted to kind of just show a couple of honourable mentions of wrestling figures because the thing is, I like a lot of the wrestling figures, and I think you'll appreciate this one. This is a Mankind figure, but this is actually Mankind from after the Hell in the Cell match with The Undertaker.
Yeah.
So you've got the thumbtacks in the back.
I was going to say instantly the thumbtacks in the back. I'm sure you'll cut to a close-up there. But
you've also got if you look at the face, it's got the tooth in the nose.
Tooth in the nose. Tooth in the nose. Oh, wow, of course.
It gets knocked
so
out.
Good.
And so that was like one of my favourite little figures of stuff. I also have a bit of a Undertaker and Kane collection in the background, which I'll show. And there's a bunch of figures in there that I really like. But this is the only figure I've got of Paul Bearer, and I just think it's such a great little figure. It just like really captures him. You don't get a lot of
really good that expression on the face.
A fat,
a bigger guy. Yeah.
So he's really got that size to him, and like the hand as well, doing the perfect like summoning the Undertaker and
so good.
Holding the urn. He came with
the feel of the jacket as well. The fact the jacket's got some movement rather than it being a solid.
So he actually came
really
with
good.
3 different urns, I think, or maybe 2. But the giant urn that I think they had when the Undertaker went away and then came back with the light.
That's so cool.
And then my figure is going to be of Kane, because I have a Kane and Undertaker collection in. But I had a couple of Kane figures that were a little bit random. So this is actually a Kane Masters of the Universe crossover.
Oh, look at that.
So it actually comes with a blasting gun, but he's got a metal arm. So this is actually a He-Man Kane.
That's amazing.
Given the connection that we've just talked about He-Man.
Yeah.
And then
that's
also
so good.
The guy who's played
flamey hair
has played a lot of other characters as well. And one of my most random purchases was a fake Diesel. So that's not actually Diesel, that's the fake Diesel.
That's Kane as Diesel.
So you can even tell from the face that is Kane, not Diesel. I do have the band holding his glasses on.
He's now playing as someone's confused old uncle in real life and being a real idiot, but that's so good. That's such a good one.
And then, but my pick,
Diesel Kane.
is I really like random figures, and we talked about like how some figures have like funny movements with the Bushwhackers and the Ram Man and stuff. And this was a figure range that they brought out, and I really like this because the thing I liked about wrestling is like things taken to the extreme and things like being a bit wild and stuff. And so this is quite a wild looking figure for a start.
Yes.
But this is also a figure from the range that was called Max Sweat. So these figures sweated. So they
can see a little.
Yeah.
You can fill them up at the back.
They came with a little pot that was supposed to be of a sweaty liquid. You would open up the back and put it in.
That's
and
amazing.
then you press the button, and the button would pump it, and the figure would actually sweat. It's not very good.
That's so good.
The funny thing with this figure as well is Kane's mask comes off, so it actually shows his badly burnt face underneath, which is a bit random. But I really love these like figures because their proportions are wrong. They're not a proper size of the wrestler, and they did a bit of a range of them, but the Kane figure definitely my favourite. But
that's great. When did these come out? Have you got any idea? What kind of era they were?
I think these were early 2000s because you get people like Billy Gunn, Road Dogg.
I was going to say, because was it before he was demasked? Because his burnt face kind of looks like Undertaker, and all we knew of him was he was Undertaker's brother.
Yeah,
he was burnt in a fire.
I'm not sure.
I wonder when that came out, because that would fit with the storyline kind of thing.
But
I love it.
It's one of those things that it's got like a different element to it, and I think like with toys, like this is the thing sometimes with collecting stuff now is forgetting the thing that like the Bushwhackers figures, they were toys, so they were ones to play with, like the Percy Pringle Paul Bearer toy. That's not really you're not gonna play with that as much, but like these toys that had these silly things, and I know Jack gets a lot these days that are like slime toys and stuff, so I really like those. They just look weird.
Well, it feels as if we do know what each of us is going to bring up, because my next one I can link perfectly, because it was exactly, and it's He-Man again, and it's one from my childhood. Like you touched upon or when we were talking actually, and we'll get to Rocky, but you had a rare Rocky that had like a fabricy beard kind of thing, and I remember the Moss Man was one that really excited me because it was this weird thing. But the one I brought along was my favourite from my childhood, and he's normally in the background on my streams, and it's Grislaw, because he was furry. And again, it was like
it's just my excitement when you bring a toy out.
I hadn't seen this before. It was like this little furry guy. I don't remember him from the cartoon at all. I don't remember anything about him. But as said, it was that thing that made them a bit different, whether it's an action or a movement, or the fact that this one's actually fur.
Yeah,
he's a fur figure that's got his little his outfit on.
It's so. These were the things that would stand out in the little toy box that you had.
Yeah.
You would come back and grab
when you have played with them. So unlike a lot of our stuff that's grown up, we're going to put it in a cabinet, but that was thrown in there, and you're like, look at the furry one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's good, right? Yeah, I just loved that run of because I think the initial He-Man toys came out and they were all quite standard, and then they seemed to do this run that was just based on what interesting things can we do. Have a little, as I said, the Moss Man was like, it was weird to touch. It felt odd. I don't even know what it was. And then this guy, the B one was all had the wings that were textured but see through, and
it's like my I don't know if you've watched the
love Grislaw,
the Netflix series. Is it toys that we grew up with?
I've watched a load of them.
When they revealed that the Big Panther from He-Man was just because they had an excess of Panther toys from another toy range, and they realised that it was almost the right size that they could put He-Man on it, so they made a saddle for it to put him on there, and it was just never meant to be a He-Man toy, but I love stuff like that where they just go,
brilliant,
what can we do? Well, we've got this, like, let's do it.
We've got this, where should we go with it? I love it.
I feel a bit bad now because I feel like I would have gone perfectly if I brought some some turtles in, and I've realised I didn't bring any turtles in at all, and I've got a big collection of turtles toys that a lot of them would have made the cut. I think I'll flash some pictures in here, but I definitely would have shown. I've got the turtles in disguise, are amazing ones.
When you were showing me around, I didn't want to be rude and taking photos constantly, but when we got to the turtles collection, I was like, I'm taking a photo of the turtles collection.
I'm gonna grab one of the turtles.
Do it. I'm obsessed with this fake diesel. That's just insane.
So, I think these would come as an honourable mention, but these are the turtles in disguise figures. And what I've loved about these is so you've got this figure is, if you remember the weird freaky masks that they would wear, there would be, oh yeah, these guys are human.
And they did humans.
It was weird because sometimes they'd wear these masks, and then sometimes they would just wear a hat on top, like this Donatello figure would just wear a hat and walk around, and so you actually got the alternate heads of the freaky masks, or you can put the normal turtle heads on. So with Donatello, I kind of have him holding the freaky mask. So it looks like I've made use of the two different bits.
So good.
But they're so weird and but as soon as I saw these figures, I think these were the ones that straight away I was like, I don't care what the price is on these. I need to get them because they're just really bizarre.
They're amazing
figures. But my actual number 2 pick is going to be this fella.
Look at this.
And we're probably going to have to cut here to actually show you more of this, but this is my Optimus Prime, and he's actually fully voice functional, and you can remote control him as well. So we'll cut to showing some Optimus Prime now, and then we'll come back. So this is the Optimus Prime from Robosen, and it's voice activated, but you can also control it via an app on your phone. But if I say if I get him to transform, he's going to do a weird shuffle in a circle because he's going to turn around so he transforms the right way. But we'll give it a go. Hey, Optimus Prime.
Greetings.
Transform. But that's very cool. And if I go on the app, we should be able to search and connect.
Connection complete.
And then I can actually fully, if I show you on here, you can completely control him. So you can make him do a bunch of actions, but you can even drive him around.
Optimus Prime. Let's roll. Optimus Prime reporting for duty. Let's roll.
It's a bit clunky, but it's kind of working. My favorite thing with the app though is you can actually fully program his different arms and stuff to do different movements, and it's really complicated. But you can actually download standard actions, so I can get him to actually do a Thomas handstand. Oh, there's a clasp at the front is broken off where I charge him. Here we go, he's going to twist round. He's going to actually completely get down here, do a handstand, and start twirling his legs around. But they programmed in loads of different actions. Probably my favourite one of all is this funny push-ups one. So we've got Optimus doing his little workout here. He's having a little pose. And then he gets down to do his press-ups. 1, 2, 3. Struggling, breathing heavily. 4, 5. Come on, Optimus. 6, 7. Oh, come on, Optimus. You've got this. 2 more. 2 more. 8, 9. That's it. And it even does a little topple there, which is programmed in, and I find that crazy. But that's the Robosen Optimus Prime. Just a really cool, different kind of thing.
Let's go.
Really confusing to do.
Let's go.
Anyway, back to Pip and Taff.
It's just amazing. That's so good though, right? Yeah.
It's just, this was my Christmas present last year, and Rach was like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, the only thing I want is this Optimus Prime. And it was quite expensive, and they now do Megatron,
right,
and Grimlock, the dinosaur.
Yeah.
And the same company.
Grimlock was the T-Rex one, wasn't it? Yeah.
The same company have just released a Buzz Lightyear one.
Amazing.
And it's got like facial technology in the face as well, so he actually like
expresses.
Talks.
So good.
But my favorite thing about the Buzz Lightyear one is it comes with 2 sole bottoms for his shoe.
Yeah.
One with Andy on, and one that you can write your own name on.
That is adorable.
I'm like, I have to really resist looking too much into the Buzz Lightyear one, because this is amazing, as you've just seen from the video we just played. But
that's so good. So I'm on to my number 1, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a bit of a story here. As I've talked to you before, Taff, I've been lucky enough to have a few different toys made of me. So we had a Star Wars series. We had this one that was like a 12-inch pip. A 12-inch pip that was based on like the original Action Man ones, like that were that big. But my most excited ones was we did a He-Man range. So we do the main version of Pip, and it was called Masters of the Spoken Verse. But the bit that me and Riker, the artist who makes them, get excited about is the rare alternates. Yeah. So do you remember in He-Man there was a version of He-Man called Faker that was blue with orange hair?
Yes.
So we made... It was between 5 and 10 versions of the Faker Pip. And I bought one along today to give to you as a gift.
No.
To add to your collection. So we got the Faker Scroobius Pip with the gold microphone.
That's so...
The smashed pack.
Yes.
It's just fucking mad, right?
That's so cool, because like one of my favorite Masters of the Universe figures of all time was the ones where they had the chest damage.
Yes,
and you would press the chest damage.
Flip round.
And I saw one at a show recently, and I was like, oh, because they remade them.
Yeah.
And I tried pressing it, and it didn't work, and I was like, oh, that's devastated.
Yeah.
So seeing even the smashed packaging just brings back. This is so awesome.
There we go.
And this is for me.
That's for you. That's my gift to you for welcoming me into your home and giving me a tour. But yeah, we did we did the normal one, which was, again, it still looked incredibly muscular. It's not normal. It's not normal Pip. But then we did a couple that were bloodied, a couple that would glow in the dark, and a couple that were Faker. And yeah, I think the Faker ones are my favourite, just because it gives you that nostalgia of... I don't remember that He-Man ever being in the show, but just that toy, that version of He-Man as the toy was like...
I think I saw like a brief glimpse of him when I was looking up an episode once, and I think it's like Skeletor makes a version of him or something. But yeah,
there we go.
So if you're looking for this, it'll be on eBay in about. That's awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
I mean, for my favourite toy, I've pulled out. I think I've got my big collection that really started all this was buying Rocky figures, and it all started at a show where I bought in a silver bag from a guy called Toy Crusader, who's actually been responsible for like 3 of my collections at the moment have been started by this guy. Like, so I try and avoid him at shows because I don't know what he's going to start next. But this was a Rocky figure I bought at the show.
He's got bruised ribs.
Yeah, he's battle damaged.
That's so
and
good.
He's got the big eye and everything.
Love it.
So I bought this. I got it home, and I never even took it out of the bag because as soon as I got home, I started looking at the figures and like looking into like what other figures there were and what else I could buy. And next thing I knew, I just started the collection, and I don't tend to like to keep things in a box. Everything else we've got out tonight, I've like taken out the box. But the Rocky figures, their boxes were amazing. So I was like, I'm gonna start this, and now I think I've got all the figures I think I want to get. I think there's maybe one figure that's like a production sample that goes round that I'm like, I don't really count it. There's some people who count alternate versions. So there's a version of Rocky's wife where the factory made her and didn't put the clothes on her, and some people try and say it's a bikini variant.
Amazing.
But my favorite Rocky figures of all time, just because I
I
like things that are a bit weird. So I brought two down. So this is Rocky, and this is probably the most famous Rocky scene that people remember is Rocky in the grey tracksuit and punching the meat. And they actually released a figure of the meat.
So good.
You've actually got, if you bought the action figures, you can buy Rocky, but you can also buy a figure that would just be the meat.
Just called the meat as well.
And I it's always interesting when you buy these Rocky figures, because occasionally you'll get stickers on them. They'll be like Asda £4, and you're like, these got reduced so much, because I don't know how many kids were going, Dad, can you get me the meat? So
I love it. And it just says original release 21st of November 1976, The Meat versus Rocky Balboa.
Yeah,
it's a little sticker. That's so good.
So these are Jack specific toys. So these were kind of made by the same company that were making a lot of the wrestling figures at the time. So playability wise, they're quite playable. But yeah, I love that on this figure as well. You get the like gloves that have the wraps on his hands, and they're all bloody because he's been punching the meat.
But it's not a euphemism.
My Rocky collection is like my pride and joy, really, and we've seen how big the collection is, but to have these two figures,
they're
I think
so good.
They're my favourites, and always the ones that I show to people as like, God, look how weird this is. I think even the meat comes with the white jacket if you wanted to put that on Rocky as well. So yeah,
so good.
That was cool. That was different.
Amazing. That's a hell of a collection.
I know. As we look around the desk in front of us, I'm gonna have to take a video
just
of this.
The best toys all sitting there.
just a load of random toys sat on the desk. But yeah, if you've got particular toys that are your favourites, drop them in the comments. Feel free to check out my Insta. Taff's Toys has got all my like kind of toy things, and I try and put videos of box openings. And Pip, do you want to plug yourself? No,
I just want people to go and follow Taff's Toys and get involved, because again, it's weird. It's that kind of thing. A lot of the stuff I follow on Instagram is toys, because it's just social media can be such a bleak place that just some retro toys coming up, some toys you've never heard of, and that's what we've tried to bring today, a mixture of here's something you might remember from when you were a kid, and also you never knew they released a meat version, the meat from Rocky to fight, and stuff like that I just adore. So everyone should go and check that out.
It's a little break from stuff sometimes, and I think like I say, go into the toy fairs, and I think I'm gonna try and sneak to one on the 27th of December at the NEC. Amazing. I think there's one, and I'm kind of like negotiating at the moment. Am I allowed to like sneak off
in that period
and spend a little bit of time walking around? Because to me, it's not. These toys I'm not playing with them. Like I like putting them in cool poses and putting the things up. I keep thinking I might get into toy photography a little bit and put stuff out. But to me, a lot of it is the memories that they unlock. Whether it's like a modern toy that reminds me of like the film that was my youth, or even a daft wrestling figure of a random character that appeared like on 5 shows, and they're just memories. And sometimes that's what we have.
You've ended it on a beautiful note there, and it's reminded me that there's an Instagram account I've followed. I can't remember the name, but I'll find out so you can put it in here, because they're not active anymore, but their previous posts are still there. And they just put a Darth Vader head on like a naked man's body and done loads of like soft porn type photography shoot. So it's all soft focus. It's just Vader just leaning back with no clothes on and just being all sexy. And that was my favourite follow on Instagram for ages, because I was like, that's what I need to see every now and then.
I think that's the thing. Sometimes you just need Darth Vader naked.
Laying on a bed, having a lovely time.
And on that note, who will I meet next? I don't know. We'll find out. Stick around and maybe you'll find out. Bye.
Bye.
Right, so camera's there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I know what I'm doing.
I'm just trying to teach your grandma how to break eggs here.